Right now, crews are investigating the cause of an early morning house fire in the Highlands. It happened around 5:30 in the 1800 block of Eastern Parkway that's in the Deer Park neighborhood. Louisville Fire says it arrived and found smoke coming through the roof of a two-story home. LFD said firefighters entered the home and used multiple hand lines to put the fire out. It took about 35 firefighters 45 minutes or so to get control. Thankfully, nobody inside the building was hurt. And an update now to a story we first brought you early this morning. Police in Greensburg have arrested two people they say are responsible for stealing a police car. It happened just off U.S. Route 68, where police were executing a search warrant. Police say they got into a scuffle with a male suspect, then put him in cuffs and into the police car. While the officer was away from the front seat, a woman jumped into the driver's seat of the police car and drove towards other officers. In response, officers did shoot at her. The woman escaped the scene in the police cruiser with the male arrestee still inside. The abandoned car was later found about 12 miles away on Marshall Ridge Road. Hours later, police found and arrested both suspects. The Kentucky State Police is now continuing the investigation. The man shot by Metro Police after allegedly pointing an AR-style gun at officers was in court today. According to police, Jerron Bobbitt had the gun illegally because he was previously convicted on multiple felonies. LMPD recently released body camera video from the shooting involving Bobbitt. It shows officers initially responding to Beecher Street in the Wyandotte neighborhood on a domestic violence call.
Now, drop the freaking gun! Drop it!
It is at this moment when Officer O'Shea Rogers shoots Bobbitt. Other officers then come in to treat his injuries. Bobbitt did survive the shooting and has pleaded not guilty to charges including assault and evading police. We're going to update you on air and online once we hear what happened in court this morning. We're waiting on those details now. We could also see a change in the case of a Mount Washington man found with skulls and human remains in his house. James Knott is expected to change his plea to guilty in connection to federal gun charges. The FBI raided Knott's home back in July and found firearms along with human remains, including skulls, spinal cords, and hip bones. Investigators say some of the human remains were being used as decoration. However, Knott has not yet been charged with actually having the remains, but he did previously plead not guilty to unlawful possession of a firearm. Today's hearing is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon. New here at noon, every JCPS school will soon have at least one automated external defibrillator, also known as an AED, by the end of the year. This month, JCPS began installing 337 AEDs across its schools and district properties. AEDs are medical devices used on people experiencing cardiac arrest. District officials said although several schools in JCPS already have them, most of those were purchased by school PTAs or with school funds. Administrators believe it'll be more equitable if the school district pays for the AEDs so that every school can have one. As the holiday season ramps up, a hunger crisis in our city continues. For shelters and food banks across Louisville, this time of year always marks a rise in demand. But as WHAS11's Connor Steffen shows us, it's now complicated by a rise in prices, too.
As the holiday season approaches, Nina Mosley with Wayside Christian Mission says her team is experiencing an anomaly when it comes to the number of beds available.
Well, naturally, this is the coldest part of the year, this in December and January, so we do have a lot more people. It's important to get people in when it's freezing like that because we don't want anybody dying on the streets in Louisville, and that has happened in the past.
She says normally beds don't fill up until the colder months. Mosley's headed up the nonprofit, which serves more than 2,000 meals daily for 35 years now. She says winter can always be a particularly challenging time of year.
The shelters are full. The shelter has been staying full since the end of summer, and it's just a lot more strain on everything.
This year, for food banks and families alike, prices at the grocery store have had a particularly firm grip on operations.
Anyone who does grocery shopping consistently knows that groceries have just about tripled in prices over the past year, which is hard for people who are struggling anyway. With the increase in prices in food, fuel, electricity, water, all of that. It makes a big difference.
A difference seen during Thanksgiving meal service this year.
We were a little bit concerned because we didn't have enough turkeys for Thanksgiving.
Falling short about 50 turkeys, she said a last-minute donation brought them over the line.
If it weren't for the the good community that we are in, it would be much, much harder.
She says of those staying with Wayside, many are families and adults who have a steady income from work but are falling behind while prices rise. She's looking for a particular donation from the community headed into Christmas.
Again, for Christmas, we need turkeys and hams, and we need breakfast foods.
Call to action during this season of giving. Connor Steffen, WHAS11 on your side.
Wayside Christian Mission says it's not only in dire need of donations, but also volunteers. For more information on how you can help, click on the link in this story at WHAS11.com.